10 years ago, the international community made a commitment to protect 10% of the world's oceans by 2020. And Blue has been working hard for the last decade to make a material contribution to that goal. At Ascension Island, we continue to work with the local government and the community to implement a no-take MPA around 99.5% of Ascension's waters. This will include the creation of a community trust fund, thanks to the generous support of Peter Larson. When complete, the Ascension MPA will be nearly twice the size of the United Kingdom. Also this year, Blue was delighted to support RSPB and National Geographic in their project at Tristan da Cunha in the South Atlantic. Blue secured significant funding from the Becht Family Charitable Trust, which helped deliver the single largest marine protection announcement in the world in 2020, which is the designation of a fully no-take MPA 3 times the size of the UK. Together, these two sites mean that more than 1 million square kilometres of ocean will be protected in no-take areas. This means that Blue is making a serious contribution towards the global target of protecting 10% of the world's oceans by 2020, which is not bad going for a year that none of us could travel.
Hi everyone. So last Christmas, I remember that I was sat by a pool in California, thinking to myself, next year I should probably travel less, fly less for the sake of the planet. And of course, that is exactly what has happened. To be grounded as head of international projects for Blue is not easy. But I'm so proud of the way that everyone has charged through this year and of the things that we've achieved. And I specifically wanted to talk about a new partnership that we've created with the Mediterranean Conservation Society in Turkey to protect 55,000 hectares of ocean from trawling and purse seining, and creating 10,500 hectares of no fishing zones, which are going to allow populations of sharks and monk seals and grouper to recover. It's a fantastic project. It's the largest highly protected network of MPAs in the Med, and it's dominated by small-scale fisher women. And we're going to be working with them for the next 5 years to make the MPA bigger, make the MPA better, and make sure that the MPA works for the marine environment and for the people who use those resources. So well done, everyone. We've nearly made it. Happy Christmas. See you next year.
Capable of growing over 2.5 metres, the flapper skate is an ocean giant. Once abundant across the British Isles, its prodigious size makes it a really charismatic species, and one that wouldn't look out of place swimming alongside the Nautilus in a Jules Verne novel. Sadly, overfishing has decimated populations, and in 2006, the species was added to the IUCN Red List as critically endangered. A discovery in 2020, however, by fishermen and divers could mark a turning point for this magnificent fish. During an expedition supported by Blue, divers and fishermen came across a large boulder site off the Isle of Skye in Scotland. Here, nestled in between the rocks and crevices, lay hundreds of flapper skate eggs. Scientists believe this could be one of the largest egg-laying sites ever found. Currently, the site lies unprotected and is open to trawling and dredging for 6 months of the year. Flapper skate eggs can grow to an impressive 30 centimetres and can take 18 months to hatch. This means they're really susceptible to damage, especially from things like trawling and dredging. Blue and others are now calling for an emergency marine protected area to protect the site from trawling and dredging, and we need this to happen before the area opens up again next spring. This is just one example of how Blue is supporting communities to take action and use their own knowledge and skills to save the marine environment. And we really hope that the example here will inspire other communities to do the same.
Blue has been working in the Maldives for the last 4.5 years to try to help to rebuild Maldivian coral reefs as climate-resilient ecosystems for the benefit of everyone who depends on them. This year, despite enormous challenges, we've managed to make tremendous progress towards achieving this goal. Our social media campaign, #FishForTomorrow, helped to secure a national fishing ban for all species of parrotfish in the country. This is such a great achievement for the Maldives because unfortunately, many reef fisheries across the country still remain largely unmanaged. To put this into perspective, the last time a coral reef fish was protected was back in 1995. That's 25 years ago.
This is a serious problem that we are at the forefront of climate change, and we need healthy fish populations to keep our reefs healthy. Science has shown that the reefs with abundance in diverse parrotfish can recover much faster from the coral bleaching events than the reefs where parrotfish have been overfished. This is because parrotfish scrape the algae off of the reefs, making space for new corals to grow. Blue continues to work and safeguard reef fish stocks in the Maldives. This year, we have been working with Six Senses Lamu, our partner resort, and the fishermen who sell their catch to the resort to finance our market-based incentive fishery scheme. Local fishermen and the resort have both signed up to a responsible fishing code of conduct, which ensures both parties fish and trade in a sustainable way. This year, Blue hopes to roll this model out to other resorts in the Maldives. Thank you to all those who continue to support us, and we look forward to seeing you again someday soon.
Hi everybody, Beth here from lockdown in freezing North Yorkshire to talk to you about Blue's incredible project on St Helena Island in the middle of the tropical South Atlantic. We'll soon be entering our 4th year on island, working with the St Helena National Trust to champion and promote the sustainable development and delivery of the island's huge IUCN Category 6 MPA. Although the MPA was designated way back in 2016, there is still no revised and enacted fisheries legislation and marine management plan. More controversially this year, the government also ignored advice from Bluebelt and decided to increase the harvest of the vulnerable big-eyed tuna simply to fit an investor's proposal. This has meant that this year we have had to work harder than ever to engage with the government and make sure that they do not ignore their international obligations for their MPA. They commit to banning longlining, and they ensure the sustainability and livelihoods of their local pole and line fishermen. But enough from me, now over to our friends in St Helena with the team, where they will tell you more about Blue's success this year.
Hi guys, from sunny St Helena we have Canucks, myself Sheena, and our new team member Jamie. We've had a fantastic year with lots of things going on. With education outreach, we've managed to go into the 3 primary schools as well as the secondary school. We've launched the app, Secrets of St Helena. We've got lots of children in school classes using it with fantastic feedback. So overall, really positive.
Yeah. So we had an awesome time with whale sharks last year. Due to COVID precautions, we had to cease, but before we did, we went out and did our normal ID monitoring and observations, which was pretty cool. We also, for the first time for St Helena, used cat cams to record what's behind a whale shark's eyes. We also had some really cool video of interactions and some tuna interaction, which was really nice. We're hopefully going to start that again this year, and again using our drone to record the first ever mass aggregation and hopefully the successful breeding. So, cool.
And on my side, having just joined the team here, I'm incredibly excited to join the whale shark research, but also hopefully kickstart our plastics program again and work closely with Sheena as well to develop our outreach as well. So from here in St Helena, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Bye guys.
Bye.
This year, we've made a real focus on using the law for marine conservation, and here's just 2 of our projects. In the Fisheries Bill, as it went through Parliament, we managed to get the government to confirm that the UK fishery belongs to the Crown for the benefit of the public. And that's a really important principle because it means that if they mismanage it in years to come, we can go for a legal challenge on that basis. Second, the UK and European member states have declared about 10% of their offshore waters as marine protected areas. Yet, while all other activities are protected and restricted. No measures are in place in any of these waters to restrict fishing, which is one of the most damaging activities, and that's completely daft. Yet when you look at the legislation, there is no exemption for fisheries, and so the UK and EU member states have, according to our research, been acting unlawfully. We are in the process of taking legal action to protect the Dogger Bank, the real heart of the North Sea ecosystem. It straddles British and European waters, so it will be a test case for fisheries management in all European MPAs. On the British side, because of the laws relating to Brexit, the UK will need to bring in measures to protect the Dogger early next year or face legal action thanks to Blue's amazing donors. In Brussels, because of the common fisheries policy, the process is slower, but Blue's work on its own and with colleagues in academia and other organisations has triggered an investigation by the European Commission against member states, so watch this space. Thank you for all your support in this exceptionally challenging year, and here's to renewed ocean optimism in 2021. We see next year as bristling with legal opportunity.
$1.5 million metric tons of yellowfin tuna were caught in 2018, with an end value of almost $16 billion. However, the regional fisheries management organizations responsible for these stocks are often ineffective and toothless, and this has led to widespread mismanagement and unlawful overfishing. Blue's Investigations Unit has worked for over a year to expose and combat the continued overfishing of yellowfin tuna in the Indian Ocean, a stock that could collapse within the next 5 years. We have exposed widespread misreporting of catches by industrial EU fleets and proved that these same fleets are going dark with tracking beacons switched off for weeks at a time. Our most recent report revealed the shocking number of juvenile tuna caught by these industrial fleets, up to 94%. And proved that yellowfin tuna recovery plans put in place by the Indian Ocean Tuna Commission have failed for the third year in a row to curb catches. As a result, Blue successfully called for an emergency meeting to save the yellowfin tuna stock, and this meeting will take place in early 2021. Blue also teamed up with WWF, Bloom and Shark Project to call for a full and independent investigation into deaths and human rights abuses in the Western and Central Pacific, following the death and suspected murder of a Kiribati fisheries observer in March, the 8th known observer to die or go missing in the region since 2009. Closer to home, we've worked to expose electric pulse trawlers in North Sea marine protected areas and have carried out a full investigation into the opaque and potentially environmentally catastrophic deep sea mining industry and the UK's role within it, calling for a precautionary pause to allow for more research to be undertaken.
Welcome to Lyme Bay. Lyme Bay is one of the only marine protected areas in England where all mobile fishing like trawling and dredging is banned. But what really makes this MPA unique and special is the efforts of a group of fishermen who, working together for over a decade, have proved that fishing and conservation can coexist and deliver benefits for both people and nature. We got involved in 2011, and the Lyme Bay Fisheries and Conservation Reserve was created in 2012, a collaboration between fishermen, conservationists, scientists, regulators, and recreational users, believed to be the first of its kind in the UK. Blue is committed to ensuring that conservation pays for fishermen. Our investment in portside infrastructure like chiller units and ice machines has helped fishermen improve the quality, freshness, and profitability of their sustainable catch. One fisherman called these investments the best thing to happen to this port in 100 years. But this year, 2020, has been a really tough year. COVID hit Lyme Bay's fishermen hard, prices collapsed, and our fishermen had nowhere to sell their fish. The opportunity for them to recoup their winter losses didn't appear. But with our fishermen, they have faced all of this with customary resolve and determination. Their commitment to keep going to sea to help feed everyone, even when the prices were bad, never faltered. And we've all been heartened by the local public support for our fish shops and fish boxes, which has been amazing. We believe that what we've learned in Lyme Bay will help the UK to transition to low-impact, small-scale fishing fleets that are sustainable for our marine life and the local fishing communities it supports. Blue is now planning to adapt this win-win model to further sites around our coastline.
Blue have been working with the local fishing community in Berwickshire to deliver models of sustainable fishing that work for both people and nature. At the heart of this belief is that fisheries management should adopt a regional approach to enable those who depend on the resource to have a voice in its management. In Berwickshire, Blue has initiated research with fishermen to assess the health of their fishery. This year, in response to engagement, interviews and workshops with fishermen, a new brown crab project was launched. This novel study, led by fishermen, is being carried out on both the Scottish and English sides of the marine protected area. And alongside the fishermen, we are working in collaboration with the Northumberland IFCA and the St Abbs Marine Station. Currently, there are different landing sizes for brown crab on either side of the border within the marine protected area, and there has been no research conducted in the region to understand at what size they become mature. In this study, crabs have been collected and analysed to assess the maturity size and therefore what minimum size the crab should be landed at, ensuring at least one reproductive cycle before they're being caught, thus benefiting both the crab population and the fishermen. This work is feeding into a Blue-led shellfish working group that consists of scientists, NGOs, government, industry and fishermen, and aims to create co-managed fisheries regimes for the Berwickshire coastline, supporting fishermen's livelihoods, marine life and the local community for future generations.
Here in the Solent we're restoring our lost oyster reefs to areas such as this, Langstone Harbour, which was once home to Europe's largest oyster fishery. One of the ways that we're looking at restoring oysters here is through a restoration-focused hatchery, the first of its kind in the UK. In collaboration with our partners at the University of Portsmouth, we're collecting locally sourced broodstock, such as this whopper, to breed from and produce larvae that will be settled out onto shells, known as spat-on shell.
The Blue Marine Foundation has also teamed up with the Zoological Society of London and British Marine for the Wild Oysters Project, where we'll be taking our model for oyster restoration around the country. With funding from the People's Postcode Lottery Dream Fund, we'll be working with communities in Conway Bay, Tyne and Wear and the Firth of Clyde to set up 3 new oyster rehabilitation hubs. By creating broodstock reserves and marinas, restoring oyster reefs on the seabed and investing in the local community through volunteering, schools outreach and citizen science, we hope to spark a new wave of oyster restoration around the country.
"2020 has been an incredible year for sturgeon at Blue. In the beginning, we joined the Zoological Society of London, Nature at Work, the Seven Rivers Trust and the Institute of Fisheries Management in forming a coalition known as the UK Sturgeon Alliance. Since then, our aim has been clear: to restore a self-sustaining population of native sturgeon to the UK as indicators of high ecological health and water quality. Since then, we have achieved so much. The UK Sturgeon database, which compiles newspaper records dating back to the 1700s, has been completed, which identifies over 5,000 sturgeon captured in our inland and coastal waters. 200 of the inland captures were in the River Severn, affirming that it is the best location for us to begin restoration. We have also presented at multiple online conferences, including Blue's own Rewilding the Sea event and the IFM's Festival of Fisheries. 2 major discoveries have also occurred this year. One, that shad share very similar spawning criteria to sturgeon, which has made identifying spawning habitat in the River Severn a whole lot easier. The second is that sturgeon use the Dogger Bank as highly important feeding habitat, which removes much of the mystery surrounding where they spend their time in the open sea. We still have a lot to do to achieve our aim, but we hope that in the not so distant future, sturgeon will be breeding in our rivers and feeding around our coasts once more.
The UK has the largest installed capacity of offshore wind energy in the world, and it's still rising rapidly. There is an ambition to achieve over 30% of its electricity from offshore wind by the end of the decade. Offshore wind installations can enhance both biodiversity and fisheries if appropriately managed and designed. Their hard structures can act as artificial reefs, can be a refuge for numerous species, provide shelter for oyster reefs and other marine habitats, and act as de facto closed areas from harmful activities. Blue is working to establish the scale of the potential for offshore wind sites to be used for greater environmental improvement of our seas. Our project aims to illustrate that ocean conservation and the offshore wind industry can have a mutually beneficial relationship. Blue has created an ambitious national programme focused on exploring multiple nature enhancement opportunities within offshore wind farms. To achieve this ambition, so far in 2020, we have completed scoping studies into the opportunities for native oyster restoration across all the UK's offshore wind farm sites. We have begun to form partnerships with key government bodies and deepened our relationships with the industry. We have presented our initial findings and have had positive interest from 5 leading offshore wind farm companies. And we are now moving to the next phase. We have begun to establish the potential for other forms of habitat creation, not just oysters, and to examine multi-use of sea space and the closure of areas from harmful activities. Within a decade, the UK could have a third of its electricity supplied by offshore wind, and these sites can not only be the location of the energy revolution, but a place where industry and conservation have worked hand in hand to rewild the UK seas.